by U.S. taxpayers, saying in this talk, Mr. Piketty will argue that the right answer lies in ending Western arrogance and promoting a new emancipatory and egalitarian horizon on a global scale, a new form of democratic and participatory, ecological, and post-colonial socialism. So why would we invite people we don't agree with to evangelize views and values that we don't share at the National Defense University when we should be learning strategy about how to combat our enemies and make assessments that are accurate?
And we do learn a lot about strategy and about the military and about joint force development, and so that is our focus in these institutions. I don't know what the context of this particular or content of this particular speech was.
Mr. Secretary, I've shared with you the context. The context wasn't better understand socialism so we can defeat it. The context wasn't learn about it so that we can offer countermeasures. The concept was that it's time for socialism. And the reason I know that's the context is because the lecture was pulled from a book written by Thomas Piketty entitled Time for Socialism. And I just can't help but notice.
And so your question was whether or not
I control the time.
Your question
you guys have been blowing a lot of calls
socialism
lately on
the
matters of strategy, Mr. Secretary. You guys told us that Russia couldn't lose. You told us that the Taliban couldn't immediately win. And so I guess I'm wondering, what in the $773 billion that you're requesting today is going to help you make assessments that are accurate in the face of so many blown calls?
We have a very interesting story coming out of the Biden administration this week. It's about the United States Secretary of Defense, Lloyd, the second in command over the entire military after Joe Biden and his handlers. So this man has been missing in action. He's been MIA. He went allegedly, he was in a hospital having some medical procedure. This is a story coming out of the Biden administration. This is the scrambled, put together story that the mainstream media is now pushing. But the Russians are claiming that he's KIA. The Russians are claiming that he's been dropped off in Ukraine. So it's a very strange story because I'm looking at all of these articles, I'm looking at all of these mainstream media news reports, and they seem to be in cleanup mode / cover-up mode. And it's a damn shame that you just can't trust what these people are saying, and you can't just trust what the Biden administration is saying, especially when it comes to situations like this, because these people constantly lie. So let's back up. Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about the information that we've been given. So allegedly, this is a story now, allegedly they found out that he has prostate cancer. He went to the hospital last month in December, had some type of procedure. Then early January, they're saying now that he went back to the hospital, Walter Reed, the big military hospital up there in the DC area, and he was admitted to the ICU, underwent some type of testing, and apparently now he's going to be okay. But here's the thing, ain't nobody seen him. Biden and them are saying, well, he's going to maintain his job because apparently he offered to step down, even though we haven't heard from him. We haven't seen him. And people are calling for his head. People are saying that he should be fired because this is extremely dangerous. It's a very terrible thing if he went to the hospital and didn't tell anybody. So they told us that he went to the hospital. First, they said there was some elective procedure and he was just out, and he told his deputy secretary of defense that he was out and to take over. But now they're saying, oh, it was cancer. He had to have some type of life-saving procedure for prostate cancer. So they're changing the story. Then on top of that, the deputy secretary of defense, she was on vacation in Puerto Rico this last week when this whole thing went down. So he was in the hospital, in the ICU. She was on vacation, didn't even leave vacation. Then now they're trying to say, well, she brought in some communication so she can maintain her duty as being in charge of the Pentagon while she's on vacation. Because remember, this position is in the chain of command from the president, which is significant because it's in the nuclear chain of command. So if the president orders a nuclear strike or some type of defensive maneuver due to a nuclear attack on the United States, the Secretary of Defense is critical. We're talking about national security. We're talking about a possible nuclear strike and the United States being ill prepared, a critical component of the chain of command missing. And the crazy thing about this is all of this went down, and Joe Biden and his handlers didn't know about it. The National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, they found out way after the fact that this had happened. So these people have completely dropped the ball. Now, this story is even true because, like I said, they're in cleanup mode. In fact, let's look at one of these mainstream media clips on what they're trying to say the new timeline is.
Biden is backing his defense secretary despite calls for him to resign over a mysterious hospital stay. It was reported that Secretary Lloyd Austin was in intensive care for 3 days while nobody told the president or even the deputy who took over Austin's duties. Weijia Jiang has more from the White House.
70-year-old Secretary Austin was rushed to the intensive care unit in an ambulance on New Year's Day, suffering a complication from an elective medical procedure he had on December 22nd. The next day, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Austin's chief of staff, and his spokesman all knew about the hospitalization, but no one told Austin's deputy who had assumed his duties, the White House chief of staff or the National Security Advisor, until 2 days later when President Biden was finally informed.
However desirous he may be about preserving his zone of privacy, we cannot have him making those kinds of decisions at the risk of the United States being caught short in some kind of international or national security crisis.
The defense secretary's authority over armed forces is only second to the commander-in-chief's, and his role in the National Security Council is critical, especially as tensions rise during 2 wars in Gaza and Ukraine. The White House and Defense Department have launched formal reviews. According to a new memo, the Pentagon is looking into a timeline of events, an examination of the current process that determines if the secretary can perform functions, and recommendations to improve notifications.
With the National Security Advisor not being fully notified for several days, it's a concern to me.
The Pentagon also said it would expand the circle of people who will be notified about transfers of power in the future. As for Secretary Austin, he is out of the intensive care unit at Walter Reed Hospital, but there's no specific date for when he will be released.
So there's another story, like I said, of what happened, why we haven't seen Lloyd Austin. Where the hell is this man? And that's that he's KIA. This man has been killed in action. They said he met secretly with some leaders over there, some generals over there in Ukraine. They were in some bunker in central Kyiv during that same time. Remember at the beginning of the year when Russia launched a barrage of cruise missiles and other missiles, hypersonic missiles, into Kyiv and other regions? Well, they say Lloyd Austin was in a bunker at the time that this happened, and he's been killed. And it looks like there's some type of cover-up. The U.S. government doesn't want the civilians to know about it. They said he was over there to discuss asymmetric warfare, drones, other technology, new tactics, stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I don't know, because these sources may not be credible. They're over there in Russia. Some of the Russian TV hosts and other people who say they work for Russian intelligence, they're saying that he's KIA. But we don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if the White House is running some type of cover-up. Maybe what they're saying is true, but it's pretty interesting. And I just have a question. Where is he? Can we see him? Because they came out with this statement. In fact, let's look at this statement here. I recognize I could have done a better job ensuring the public was appropriately informed. I commit to doing better, said Austin, acknowledging the concerns about transparency. But this is important to say. This was my medical procedure, and I take full responsibility for my decisions about disclosure. So apparently this is a statement from Lloyd Austin that's been released, but like I said, we haven't seen him say it. And here's the thing. They're saying that in December, when he had the surgery and he was under general anesthesia, he informed them. He put his deputy in command. He informed him, but then he went back because he was having complications allegedly. But that's when he didn't inform him. So late December, you inform them that you're having a procedure, but then in early January, you go right back and you don't say anything, and it's this big secret. So let's look here. Here's a statement that's been pushed out for immediate release from Walter Reed from the hospital up there where he was. So here they're talking about the specifics of what happened, and it kind of doesn't match exactly what the news are saying, but they're trying to say they did this and that and had to admit him to the ICU. And then up here they say, well, he was under anesthesia, and then down here they're saying he never underwent anesthesia. He never lost consciousness, never underwent anesthesia. So it seems like this is a public relations type thing, because they're trying to say, well, he was still in control. There was never a break in the chain of command, the nuclear chain of command. But like I said, it's pretty interesting, and I just want to know, is he sick? Did he mess up with the chain of command, or is he dead somewhere? Did he get KIA over there in Ukraine? And would the Russians actually do something like this? Pretty interesting. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.